Have you ever been wounded by someone who then simply walked away, unburdened and serene, as if nothing had happened? You are left shattered, replaying the incident, while they seem to feel absolutely nothing. No guilt, no remorse, just a silent, chilling emptiness. This profound disconnect is not a fluke or a simple character flaw. It is a fundamental difference in human psychology, masterfully exposed by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. He argued that what we call evil is often just a different, terrifyingly coherent moral code. This video is a descent into that code. It is not about hating or judging them. It is about achieving the ultimate clarity, seeing the remorseless for what they truly are, so you can finally stop waiting for an apology that will never come, and instead, reclaim all the energy you've wasted trying to make them understand. You will learn the Nietzschean framework that explains their behavior not as madness, but as a form of terrifying logic. More importantly, you will discover how to transform this painful awareness into your greatest spiritual defense. This knowledge is the key to severing an invisible psychic leash and achieving a profound, unshakable inner peace. Ready to see the world and your place in it with terrifying clarity? Let us begin. Before we condemn the absence of remorse, we must demolish the prison of our own thinking. Our deepest certainty is that good and evil are objective realities, inscribed in the universe or within our souls. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche enters this moral temple with a hammer. In On the Genealogy of Morality, he does not offer a new morality, but an archaeology of the ones we already have. His thesis is devastating. Good and evil were not discovered, they were invented, not by God, but by humans in a fierce historical struggle for psychological survival. This is the first key to unlocking the psyche of the remorseless. They are not rejecting a universal truth. They simply live according to a different, much older moral operating system. To understand them, we must travel back in time and witness the primordial split in the human soul. Picture two distinct worlds. First, the world of the master morality. This was the realm of ancient aristocrats, warriors, and conquerors. The blonde beasts, as Nietzsche called them. Their value system was a simple, brutal, and aesthetic calculus. What was good? Anything that flowed from strength, power, beauty, health, and a triumphant yes to life itself. Courage, nobility, truthfulness to one's desires. What was bad? Simply what was contemptible. Weakness, cowardice, pettiness, ugliness. This bad was not evil. It was an afterthought, a negligible byproduct. When a master caused suffering, it was not a sin. It was an unthinking expression of his overflowing will to power, as natural and guiltless as a hawk taking a rabbit. His conscience was clear because his actions were a pure affirmation. I am, and therefore I act. There was no gap between his desire and his deed, no internal court to judge him. Remorse would have been a foreign, laughable concept, a sign of sickness, of hesitation, of weakness. Now the second world, the slave morality. This was the ingenious, resentful creation of the weak, the oppressed, the priests, those who could not defeat the masters physically. Their historical revenge was psychological, and it reshaped humanity. They performed a brilliant, diabolical revaluation of all values. They declared the master's traits, pride, aggression, conquest, selfish joy, to be evil. In a staggering reversal, they recast their own weaknesses, humility, patience, pity, obedience, as good. This was the slave revolt in morality. But this new system needed a powerful enforcement mechanism. It needed a hook in the human psyche. That hook was guilt. The priests engineered the concept of a debtor-creditor relationship with God and ancestors. Every natural impulse, every spark of selfish power became a debt, a sin to be repaid with suffering. Guilt, and its intimate sibling, remorse, was born as a form of self-cruelty, a turning of the will against itself. It was the psychological whip the weak used to tame the strong within themselves, and then tried to use to control the masters. So who is the remorseless person in this framework? They are not monsters who have lost their conscience. Psychologically, they are living relics. They are individuals who, for reasons of nature or nurture, never fully internalize the slave morality's whip of guilt. Their inner compass remains calibrated to the older, simpler master code, even if they live in a modern slave morality world. When you confront them with pain they caused, you are speaking the language of good and evil, of sin and debt. They hear you speaking a foreign, weak, and confusing tongue. Your anguish is not proof of their wrongness. To them, it is merely proof of your own vulnerability. Your entanglement in a system of values they do not recognize as supreme. They are not fighting guilt. They are playing an entirely different game on a moral map you cannot see. Understanding this is not to excuse them, but to see them with a terrifying, liberating clarity. You are not dealing with a broken moral being. You are facing a coherent, if terrifying, alternative. A force that operates by a logic where your pain is not a moral category, but a simple fact of life's hierarchy. This realization is the first crucial step in disarming their power over your soul. So we have identified the ancient code. But we do not live on ancient battlefields. We live in a world of laws, social contracts, and complex empathy. So where does the master's spirit go when it is forced into a civilized cage? It does not vanish. It mutates. It becomes covert, psychological, and infinitely more confusing. This is the reality of the modern remorseless individual. They are not conquerors with swords. They are colleagues, partners, family members. Nietzsche called our fundamental drive the will to power, not a desire for domination over others, but the essential impulse of all life to grow, expand, overcome resistance, and assert its own reality. In a healthy being, this drive creates art, love, philosophy, and self-mastery. But in the remorseless, this will is stripped of form, empathy, or higher purpose. It becomes a pure, hungry, and directionless force. Their actions, the lie, the betrayal, the cold dismissal, are not crimes against a moral law they believe in. They are simply moves in a silent, perpetual game where the only goal is the affirmation and expansion of their own will. Your trust, your love, your vulnerabilities are not sacred bonds. They are leverage points, terrain to be mapped and controlled. When you show them your pain after their action, you are not appealing to a shared humanity. You are, in fact, giving them crucial feedback. You are showing them that their move was effective. It landed. It caused a reaction. Your tears are not a rebuke. They are a trophy, a confirmation of their power to influence your emotional state. This is why expressions of hurt are so futile and even dangerous with them. You are literally teaching them how to hurt you better next time, because you are revealing the exact wiring of your conscience, a wiring they lack in view as a strategic weakness. This explains the unique, soul-crushing exhaustion you feel after an encounter with them. It is not ordinary conflict. It is a psychic vampirism. The awakened soul operates with depth, empathy, in a rich inner world, a potent form of will to power turned inward and upward. The remorseless individual is a black hole for this energy. They engage not to connect, but to consume. Your emotional intensity, your moral reasoning, your attempts at repair, all of this is raw energy that they absorb without reciprocity. They offer no reflection, no guilt, no closure. The transaction is entirely one way. You leave feeling drained because, in a very real sense, a part of your life force has been siphoned off to feed a void. They have won a silent battle of wills by making your greatest strength, your capacity to feel deeply, into the very source of your depletion. This dynamic creates a central tragedy. You are perpetually playing the wrong game. You are playing a game of morality where the rules are honesty, reciprocity, and repair. You believe that by clearly showing the score, "You hurt me," the other player will acknowledge the foul. But they are playing a game of power. In that game, the only rule is effectiveness. Your display of hurt is not a foul on them. It's a point on their scoreboard. Your pleas for fairness are not appeals to a referee. They are seen as a sign that you are a weak player begging for special rules. This mismatch is why you cycle in confusion, while they move on with serene indifference. You are a chess player desperately trying to checkmate someone who is playing poker, and who views your chess pieces as curious but irrelevant tokens. How do you recognize this formless will? Look for the signature, a profound disconnect between action and consequence. Not the external consequences they may avoid, but the internal ones. They can speak of love while causing harm, promise loyalty while plotting betrayal, and express ideals they continuously violate, all without a flicker of cognitive dissonance. Their narrative is fluid, changing to suit the moment's objective. There is no central, integrated self to feel conflicted. There is only a series of masks, each deployed for utility. The modern remorseless person is not a monster in the dark. They are a shapeshifter in the light, and their most terrifying feature is not what they do, but what they lack. That inner friction, that moral echo, the psychic scar that reminds the rest of us we are connected to others. Their world is frictionless, and in that silence, your conscience screams alone. Your spiritual defense does not begin with a counterattack, but with a silent interior surrender to reality. This is radical acceptance. It is the conscious, willed decision to stop expecting water from a stone. You must accept, with a clarity that feels both cold and liberating, that the remorseless person is psychologically and morally incapable of giving you what you seek: acknowledgement, guilt, or a shared narrative of the harm. To continue to hope for this is a form of self-torture, a fantasy that drains your power. Acceptance is not weakness, forgiveness, or condoning. It is the ultimate act of seeing. You look directly at the abyss of their indifference and you say, "This is what is." By doing so, you stop fighting a phantom. You withdraw your energy from the impossible project of changing them, and you reclaim every watt of that precious power for yourself. This is the moment you leave their psychological arena. The game is over because you have finally stopped playing. From this ground of acceptance, you perform the highest alchemy, Amor Fati, the love of your fate. Nietzsche proposed this as the ultimate formula for human greatness. It is not about being glad for the pain inflicted by the remorseless. It is about a profound revaluation. You take the raw, poisoned material of that betrayal, that cruelty, that indifference, and you declare, "This too belongs to my story, and I will make it mean something." The wound becomes the sacred site of your transformation. While they remain stagnant in their hollow present, you use the intensity of your suffering, the very fuel they tried to use to burn you down, as the fire for your own forge. This pain becomes the grit that forms the pearl of your wisdom, the catalyst for your creative power, the undeniable proof of your depth. Your strategy must shift from resistance to immovable presence. Do not waste strength trying to calm the storm. Become the mountain that withstands it. This means building an inner citadel so rich and self-sufficient that their attempts at provocation or manipulation simply meet a vast, unresponsive silence. You cultivate deep roots in your own values, passions, and creativity. Your self-worth becomes decoupled from their perception or actions. You understand that their behavior is a reflection of their inner poverty, not a verdict on your worth. Your silence becomes not an absence, but a presence, a field of such dense peace and self-possession that their chaotic energy dissipates against it. You no longer try to beat them at their game. You make the game itself irrelevant by changing the entire landscape. This is the final stage of forging your spiritual armor, becoming the crucible. All the heat they generated, all the pressure they applied, is contained within you and transformed. Your capacity for remorse, which they lack, is your superpower. It is the raw material for empathy, art, wisdom, and profound connection with others who possess depth. Redirect the energy once spent on analyzing them, grieving them, or seeking justice from them into the sacred project of your own soul. Create, build, love deeply those who can reciprocate, study, grow. In doing so, you achieve the ultimate state. You become dangerous to them, not through retaliation, but through sublime inaccessibility. Your peace is your fortress. Your joy is your shield. Your focused will, turned inward and upward, becomes an energy they can no longer perceive, let alone drain. You looked into the void of their conscience, and instead of falling in, you used the sight of that emptiness to solidify everything you truly are. This is the silent victory. The war ends not with a treaty, but because you have built a kingdom on a higher plane, in a sky where they are forever earthbound. This is your silent victory. It is not an explosion, but an evaporation. The conflict dissolves not because you were proven right, but because you have outgrown the very plane on which it existed. The remorseless individual served as your most painful, most necessary mirror. They reflected back to you the terrifying potential of a life lived without internal chains, forcing you to confront a fundamental choice. Would their emptiness define your pain, or would it define your purpose? In that confrontation, your spiritual sovereignty was forged. You have learned the most liberating truth. Some people are not puzzles to be solved. They are weather patterns to be observed, and then from a place of profound inner shelter to be let pass. Your clarity is now your greatest protection. The chilling understanding of their nature is not a burden to carry, but the very tool that cuts you free. It severs the invisible psychic hooks of obligation, the fantasy of mutual understanding, and the exhausting hope for a different past. What remains is your unshakable core, a will that has been tested not in conquest over others, but in the supreme conquest over your own need for their remorse. You have redirected the monumental energy of that need inward, fueling the creation of a self so complex, so fortified by self-derived meaning, that external validation, especially from the void, becomes irrelevant. So let them be. Let them exist in their moral flatland, a universe of simple cause and effect, untouched by the storms of conscience. You inhabit a richer, more turbulent, and infinitely more beautiful cosmos, the inner space of a soul that feels, transforms, and ascends. You looked into the abyss, and the abyss did not gaze back. And in that one-sided silence, you finally heard the most important voice of all, your own, speaking the language of a fate you have learned not to resent, but to love, and a power you have learned not to fear, but to wield with silent, untouchable grace.